From the MTSU Hall of Fame, it's Blue Raider Extra Point.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Blue Raider Extra Point. I'm Abigail Martin alongside Dylan Simmons and Nick Frazier sitting here at the Blue Raider Hall of Fame, ready to kick off another weekend full of football action. Let's go ahead and kick it off. This week, TJ Warner has the starting lineup.
The starting lineup.
Third-ranked Oregon has a huge road game against 23rd-ranked Utah. The two teams are evenly matched in almost every team stat category. Look for these teams to lean on their big-time playmakers. For the Ducks, it will be Travis Dye, who is having a great season since C.J. Verdell went down with injury. For Utah, they will lean on quarterback Cameron Rising, who has one of the highest QBRs in the country. This will be a big Pac-12 matchup. Iowa State travels to 13th-ranked Oklahoma. Lincoln Riley decided to bench Caleb Williams' last game for Spencer Rattler. It will be interesting to see who starts under center for the Sooners this week. Both teams are coming off a loss and are looking to get the momentum back on their side to finish this season out. 21st-ranked Arkansas goes on the road to 2nd-ranked Alabama. Alabama has the Heisman favorite right now in Bryce Young. Both of these teams struggled to beat LSU earlier this season. This game could very well be closer than the experts think. 10th-ranked Wake Forest travels to Clemson. The Demon Deacons had a huge win last week over NC State. This week they can lock a spot in the ACC championship game with a win. Wake Forest will be led by quarterback Sam Hartman, who has thrown for 3,163 yards and 30 touchdowns. This will be a big ACC game this week. 7th-ranked Michigan State takes on 4th-ranked Ohio State. This top 10 showdown will be to keep their playoff chances alive. The Spartans will be led by running back Kenneth Walker, who has scored 17 touchdowns. The Buckeyes will be led by quarterback C.J. Stroud, who has thrown for 30 touchdowns. The winner of this game will improve one of their Heisman campaigns. I'm TJ Warner, and this has been the starting lineup.
Thanks, TJ. So, Dylan, what do you like out of these week's matchups?
Well, I gotta say, the Ohio State-Michigan State matchup is going to be absolutely huge. One of the few top 10 matchups we've had this year, but we're talking massive implications not only for the Big Ten East title, but the college football playoff itself. Now, looking at these two teams, they're two teams with two different identities. Ohio State has relied heavily on the passing game. C.J. Stroud has had a phenomenal year ever since that opening loss to Oregon earlier on in the season at home. Ever since then, he has been absolutely phenomenal with what he's been able to do. And of course, how could we forget about Kenneth Walker, who has had a sensational Heisman-like season. And ever since I saw him run wild against Miami, it has been an absolute roller coaster of emotions to see what he's been able to do. And I think he's going to continue to do that against Ohio State. But I think that there are some X factors in this game to look for. Specifically, I'm talking about TreVeyon Henderson, Peyton Thorne, and Master Teague, a Murfreesboro native, by the way. Now, these three guys are going to need to play huge for their teams to give them that extra element. For Michigan State, they need Peyton Thorne to step up with his arm and make plays throwing the ball. And for Ohio State, they need Master Teague and TreVeyon Henderson to run wild and really get that extra element that's going to confuse the Michigan State defense, which has had trouble with the run as they did against Purdue.
You know, that is a very good point to make. But you also got to remember, you have Oregon that you mentioned with Ohio State. They're playing Utah this week. A hard place to play on the road. The Utes are a tough team.
Absolutely. Utah and Kyle Whittingham's squad is a very, very stingy group, and they're always going to give you trouble. And if you want to talk about history of this matchup, there is a lot of history verse between these two teams. It was just 2 short years ago that they were playing for the Pac-12 title, and Utah was 1 win away from the college football playoff, but was denied by Justin Herbert and the Ducks. So this is an opportunity for them to get a measure of revenge and kind of avenge that loss that they had earlier on. And Oregon, I haven't been as convinced on them this year. Ever since that Ohio State win, they've had their difficulties against teams like Stanford and Arizona. I think this is a chance, an opportunity really, for them to show that they are able to be up there in that college football playoff discussion. But they have to get a big win on the road this week.
Yeah, it'll be something to watch for sure.
Sure thing. It is a big weekend all across college football. But you know what? A lot has happened here in Murfreesboro with the Blue Raider Athletics. And this week, Noah Brady will tell us all about it for the Big Blue Review.
The Big Blue Review.
MTSU has pledged to reinforce their athletics program by creating a $15 million 5-year plan to build Blue better. Dr. Sidney McPhee made the huge announcement Monday night and revealed the specific details that aim to bring MTSU's athletic programs to the next level, and that these plans would enhance the experience for our student athletes and fans, as well as continue to improve the aesthetics of our campus. The plan is scheduled to reach its completion within the middle of the decade. Lightning struck on the court early this week as the MTSU men's basketball team earned their 3rd consecutive victory against the Winthrop Eagles. The Blue Raiders added to their dominant defensive start to the season by holding the Eagles to 65 points on Tuesday night. MTSU feasted on turnovers as they made the most of 17 turnovers by scoring 29 points as well. The Lady Raiders picked up perhaps their best victory of the season on Monday night as they defeated the Vanderbilt Lady Commodores 56-48 in the Glass House. Rick Enzel's sturdy defense proved why it's near impenetrable once again, as they were able to hold Vanderbilt to just 30% shooting from the field. Courtney Whitson continued on her historic path as she now finds herself in elite company, as she is tied for 3rd in the nation in 3-point shots. And the MTSU baseball team can now see the task at hand as their Spring 22 schedule has been released. Fans will have 21 chances to catch MTSU at Reese Smith Jr. Field, and you can find the schedule on the baseball team's Twitter page and on GoBlueRaiders.com.
Thanks, Noah. So Nick, what do you think about this new facility expansion and the Build Blue Better Act coming up here in the very soon future?
You know, I really like the idea. Looking at the specs earlier, it looked phenomenal. It looked very new gen, I guess you could say. But it's going to drive in a lot more recruits, I think, for the athletics itself. It's going to drive in a lot more students, just be a more welcoming environment, in my opinion. So, and obviously the head football coach of MTSU, Rick Stockstill, donated $500,000 of his own money to this MTSU itself. So I think he's invested in the programs and all the above, and you know, it's good to see more change for the better at MTSU, and more the better. Baseball season's right around the corner. That's Absolutely. Even better, wouldn't you say?
Baseball season's right around the corner. Basketball season just started up, but I will say, as far as the plan goes, I was already super excited to see the tennis facility come to campus, and now improving everything that goes along with it. It's going to be an exciting way to be a Blue Raider here coming up, but unfortunately, we do have to take a quick timeout. We'll be right back with more on Blue Raider Extra Point.
You're watching Blue Raider Extra Point.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Or maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
On Blue Raider Extra Point. I'm Abigail Martin alongside Dylan Simmons and Nick Frazier. Nick, it's time to go around the Conference USA. So what you got for us? Yeah,
a lot of really good matchups this week. 2 specifically that have Conference USA implications. FAU is on the road to Western Kentucky. The second game, UAB headed to San Antonio to face the undefeated UTSA Roadrunners. The 5-5 FAU Owls go on the road to face the 6-4 Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Standout players for the Owls are wide receiver Brandon Robinson and running back Johnny Ford, who both scored in their previous game versus Old Dominion. And for Western Kentucky, they have won 5 games in a row. Quarterback for the Hilltoppers, Bailey Zappi, is currently ranked 12th all-time in the Conference USA for most passing yards in a single season. Make sure to set a reminder on your television. This is a game you don't want to miss. As for the other game, the 7-3 UAB Blazers traveled to San Antonio to play the undefeated UTSA Roadrunners. Sophomore running back for the Blazers, Dwayne McBride, rushed for 2 touchdowns and 108 yards in his previous game. In McBride's last 2 games, he's averaging 159 yards rushing while scoring 6 total touchdowns. And for the UTSA Roadrunners, senior quarterback Frank Harris looks to have a bounce-back game versus the Blazers. While throwing 2 touchdowns last week versus the Golden Eagles, Harris recorded his lowest completion percentage all season, while also throwing 2 interceptions. Will the Blazers upset the Roadrunners this week? Cancel your plans. This is the key matchup you don't want to miss.
So Nick, what are you excited about with these Conference USA matchups for this week?
Obviously, the first one is Western Kentucky hosting FAU. FAU has just been down in the dumps recently, can't seem to find their groove. They just hired Hines Ward as the wide receiver coach. He got promoted from where he was at previously on the coaching staff, so maybe that gives them an extra boost, not too sure. Western Kentucky obviously has Bailey Zappi. Bailey Zappi has been just stats all over the place. Put a post note of that stat, post note of this stat. Well, he's now going down in some Conference USA history books because he is number 12 of the all-time passing list right now behind Case Keenum and a few others. And, I mean, I was looking at the list earlier, and it was just Case Keenum on every single list. I'm like, wow, this is impressive. Zappi's getting up there with Case Keenum, so that's impressive. But Zappi also needs 7 more touchdowns before the season's over to tie the leader in touchdowns, which is Case Keenum. So, I mean, he's in the top 10 in almost every other category. And his main wide receiver, Jared Stearns, who they both, transferred from Houston Baptist together, he needs 26 more to be the all-time leading receiver in receptions in Conference USA. So I think that says a lot for those two tandem for Western Kentucky. But as for the other game with UTSA hosting UAB, Conference USA Championship implications here. Like I said earlier, I think if UTSA come out strong like they have all season except for the last game versus Southern Miss, it was a real dogfight. They just couldn't seem to just get over that hump. But now with UTSA finally regrouping and having a game that means something, like big implications for them, can really set a standard for them in the future for what their football program may be. So I think UTSA is going to keep it close the first half, and then second half just put the nitro on. Whatever it is, they're going to take it by 14 probably.
You're always excited to see Western Kentucky. I'm always excited to see UTSA. But for now, let's take a look at all the Conference USA matchups for this weekend. Let's send it over to Ayana Bronner for the Blue Raiders Spotlight.
I am here with Eli Lawrence, a guard for the MTSU men's basketball team. The team is currently 3-0. Is this something that motivates you, or is it just another game in the books?
Of course, it motivates me, but every day we approach it like it's just another game in the books. We can't dwell on the past. Got to put it behind us, each game behind us, win or lose, and get ready for the next opponent.
Do you feel like the team has something to prove this season?
Yeah, I feel like we got something to prove because coming in from last year, we didn't have a really good season, and people already counted us out. They ranked us last in the Conference USA, so yeah, we got a lot to prove.
And as you're talking about that, the team is already on their way of surpassing the win record for last year. Talk about not wanting a repeat of last year.
I don't want to repeat what we did last year because, it wasn't fun. It was not a fun season. But everything that we did last year was basically off chemistry. And this year we found that within each other, and we can encourage each other from all the way from the managers to the coaching staff. So it's great. It's a great energy and environment.
And you talk about energy. Do you think you have contributed to that? Do you think that you are a leader on the team?
That's one of my biggest things I try to focus on, bring in every night out, every game, bring my energy, boost my teammate up, pick up my brother.
You are a very important player to the Blue Raiders. Talk about the preparation that it took to get here.
Hard practices, late practices, a lot of extra work on your own. Everybody on our team has put in extra work, a lot of hours. Everybody wants it this year. We really want to win, so we're going to do whatever it takes possible to make sure we're successful.
You heard it from Eli himself. He does not want a repeat of last year. Not only does he not want a repeat of last year, the team and Coach McDevitt feel the same way. Throughout all the practices that they have been preparing for, the energy is there. They just have to make sure they show up on the court each time they step on it. This is Ayana Bronner, MTN Sports.
Thanks, Ayana. and we appreciate that incredible package. Stay tuned for more here on Blue Raider Extra Point.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
And welcome back to Blue Raider Extra Point. It is time for Zachary Loan to tell us what MTSU needs to do as they take on Old Dominion in this week's scouting report.
This week, the Blue Raiders are looking to become bowl eligible for the first time since 2018 as the Old Dominion Monarchs visit Murfreesboro. The Monarchs have struggled on the road this year as they are 1-4 away from Norfolk this year, but they have won their last 3 games. MT, on the other hand, are a perfect 4-0 this year in Floyd Stadium. This is a trend that the Blue Raiders are going to try to keep going. Something to keep an eye on is the rushing defense of the Monarchs. The Monarchs are 3rd in Conference USA, only allowing 120 yards per game. Middle Tennessee ranks 10th in the conference, only averaging around 122 yards per game on the ground. The passing attack of the Blue Raiders will be crucial for their success today. Not only does ODU have a good rushing defense, they also have a very good rushing attack on offense led by redshirt sophomore Blake Watson. Watson is 2nd in CUSA in rushing yards per game, averaging 109 yards. 3rd in yards per rush, averaging a little over 5, and he is 4th in carries with 165, although he has only played 8 games this season. Watson is a true workhorse for the Monarchs, and MTSU will need to try and limit him if they want to go bowling. This matchup is against 2 teams who are combined 5-1 over the last 3 weeks. The Blue Raiders will try and finish this season perfect at home and secure their spot in bowl season with a win today. This is going to be a good one as both teams have a lot at stake.
Thanks, Zach. After looking at that scouting report, what does MTSU need to do to succeed over Old Dominion?
Yeah, so my 3 keys, the first one is feed the receivers. MTSU have a bit of a height difference from Old Dominion's cornerbacks. The average height is around 5'9", 5'10", and if MTSU get a hold of the ball on offense and just toss them up to the wide receivers, there's going to be a lot of points scored for the Blue Raiders. My second key, defensive pressure. Jordan Ferguson leads Conference USA in sacks with 6.5, and with Old Dominion's run offense, I mean, defensive pressure as a whole, if you can just stop the offense from running the ball, they'll end up being one-dimensional and having to pass. So then you would pressure 2 or 3 guys and then drop the rest, which is impressive. And this MTSU defense is always impressing us every single week. My third key, convert on 3rd down. Now, with converting on 3rd down last week, even though MTSU won 50-10 versus FIU, on 3rd down they were 3 for 13, which makes no sense. Obviously, it kind of does make some sense because Nick Vadiato, some growing pains, understandable. But on 4th down, we were 4 for 4. Now, that's what doesn't make sense to me. I don't know.
Absolutely, and kind of going off of that, for my first key, it's going to be an air attack. Now, Nicholas Vadiato has shown a lot of poise over his first 2 games against Western Kentucky and then last week against FIU, and I'm looking for him to have a big showing in this one and to really step up. MTSU is going to need him, especially going up against this Old Dominion defense, which has struggled with the pass throughout the year. Vadiato's got a lot on his plate, but I think that he overall is going to have the opportunity and ability to really step up and become a leader for this team and continue to show that talent that we all know he has. For my second key, I'm going to go with a stonewall defense. Now, you discussed this earlier, but MTSU's defense has been absolutely electrifying like the Rock as of late. And overall, they have done really well, especially against FIU. They were forcing pressure and getting points on the defensive side of the ball. Hey, if you can't get the offense to roll, why not make your own defense? But MTSU had a lot of that in spades. So we saw the pick six, we saw safety. And I think having more of that is really going to help them in this game, and it's going to give them the opportunity to really capitalize on where they're going with this season, especially when it comes to defense. And for my final key, I'm going to go with playing with a purpose. You know, MTSU and Old Dominion are both right on the doorstep of bowl eligibility, and you guys know, postseason football, it can change your life, and it can change the direction of a program. Look at Cincinnati. Ever since they made that Peach Bowl against Georgia, they have been in the national spotlight, and they now have an opportunity to potentially make the college football playoff. And MTSU can reach that same national prominence if they can make it into a bowl game and really start to impress. It can catapult them forward as a program. And these players, they're going to remember that experience for years to come, so they have to play motivated and with a passion to win this one.
A lot is on the line today. My first key is to break through. We've seen this a few times this season, but now is the time to do it. What a bounce-back performance by Vadiato, completing 20 for 24 passes, 147 yards, and 2 touchdowns as they force another 50-point game. A successful offense will help put this in the win column with one last breakthrough. My second key, take it away. Last week, we saw success with opening drives, a scoring defense, and leading the nation in takeaways. It's all been working, but that success needs to continue to force turnovers and restrict the Old Dominion offense. My third key, finish strong. We say it every single week. I know it, but bear with me. Today's a little bit different. It's senior day. MTSU can finish the season undefeated at home, and they can be bowl eligible. There is so much riding onto this game. A lot of changes that we've seen that they've been able to persevere through with the pressure, So this is the time. Finish strong.
Yeah, Abigail, thank you. Those are our keys, and after this break, we'll be back with our season-ending picks of the year.
I hope that y'all are ready. It is time for the picks, Week 12 picks, and the last one of the season. First up, FAU, Western Kentucky.
Give me Western Kentucky. They're going to score like 40 points again. Bailey Zappi is going to throw for 480 yards plus. I mean, I know this is the Western Kentucky, rivalry for MTSU, but I want to see the kid do well. I think he can play at the next level. I feel like he's the most undervalued quarterback for the next level. So yeah, give me Western.
Absolutely. I'm taking Western as well. Bailey Zappi is having just a phenomenal year once again. And I think you're absolutely right. In terms of Conference USA quarterbacks, I think he's the most pro-ready. He's shown it week in and week out. Florida Atlantic kind of been down in the dumps lately, haven't been able to really get to that point that they've wanted to in this season. Kind of on a bit of a losing streak. I think Western takes this one in a big way and moves to 7-4.
I have the Hilltoppers as well, but they have to clean up defensively, and I'm looking specifically at turnovers as well. But I think that they can pull it through with this one. Next up, Marshall and Charlotte.
Charlotte has had, like you were saying earlier about Western and their, defensive ideas here. I think Charlotte has the same problem. Too many interceptions, too many turnovers. I'm on Thundering Herd. There's nothing about it. I'm taking Thundering Herd.
I'm going to go with a bit of an upset here. I actually think that Charlotte's going to kind of stunt the losing streak they've been on. And they've had some issues throughout the year, and especially as of late. But you got to think about situationally. They're going to be playing at home once again. The 49ers are going to have a big home following in this one. And they are very close to getting in one win, and they have bowl eligibility. A lot to play for overall. And I think Charlotte's going to take this one in a close one. But I think the 49ers win.
Well, here's the thing. You mentioned that they have issues, and that is certainly certain from Charlotte's defense. There is no way that they can keep up with Marshall, even if they were able to get points on the board. I got Marshall for this one as well. They're running away. UAB and UTSA.
Well, Dylan, shall we?
Shall we? Let's do it.
My hot pick of the week, every week since week 1. UTSA, thank you. I'd like to say personal message. Thank you very much for giving me the wonderful opportunity to watch beautiful football on all 3 aspects of the game. I'd like to thank, honestly, the fan base. I'd like to thank Jeff Traylor for what he's done for this team. And I know. I don't want to take forever. I'm sorry. I'm on UTSA. Thank you so much, UTSA.
Well, that was a very, very emotional, heartfelt thank you. I have to agree with you on this one. UTSA is a team that has really, it has definitely gotten to my heart as well.
Yeah.
Just watching them, what they've been able to do this year, they have represented Conference USA so well week in and week out, and they are right now on the cusp, potentially, of a New Year's Six Bowl. And, going to go off the rail for a little bit for a second, but I think they should be ranked ahead of San Diego State, but that's another thing entirely.
I know, man,
but
right?
Overall, I think UTSA, in a close one against UAB is going to challenge them in a way that no other team has been able to so far this season. But Sincere McCormick, that offense, and the talent they have overall, defensively, special teams, offense, doesn't matter. UTSA has got the complete package. I think that they're going to make it in a close one, but they are going to move to 11-0, and Krispy Kreme will once again reign supreme.
I have to tell before we go on to Abigail, they're one of 3 teams that are still undefeated. They're only one of 3. That's impressive. I don't know why it's not being talked about enough. And this UTSA team, there's something special about some of these players that are going to be playing at the next level. Some late round bloomers.
Underrated, but this one is going to be such a close game. But I've done it all season. I'm running with the Roadrunners. I've said no one's going to stop them, and that doesn't start with UAB. I think they're able to finish this one out. Next up, North Texas and FIU.
I always get burned when I pick North Texas. And when I don't pick them, they burn me.
It's the last season. It's the last one.
Yeah.
I'm not taking North Texas.
He's not going to do it.
I can't do it.
I'm going to have to take North Texas in this one. Now, North Texas is on a 3-game winning streak, and they've started to pick up some momentum, and they are now on the cusp, once again, of bowl eligibility. A lot of teams are on that route, and North Texas is exactly one of those teams. And you got to remember, FIU last week had a showing that was, well, let's just say below average. MTSU was able to really exploit their weaknesses, and it seems like they found the blueprint to really shutting down FIU overall. I think the Mean Green win this one in a big way.
I agree with you 100%. We saw what FIU had last week. Well, I mean, I don't have to say that much. It showed itself. I have North Texas for this one as well. The last one, it's senior day. This team could possibly become bowl eligible with a victory to remain undefeated at home. I hope you're ready. Old Dominion and MTSU.
I'm, like I said last week, I'm on MTSU the rest of the season. I really do like the way they've been playing recently. Obviously, last week, 50-10. That's impressive, like unworldly impressive. But yeah, I'm on MTSU this week. I think they'll win not only this week and then next week, but I think they're going to get a better bowl than expected because they won that last game of the season.
Absolutely. And again, this is a chance for MTSU to really step up as a program and really make a statement here against Old Dominion. So much to play for. It's senior day. You're at home against what I will say will be a really big home crowd. And there's a lot to play for in this one. Old Dominion's going to challenge them, going to give them something that they haven't seen before. But I think MTSU, Nick Vattiato, Petaway, they are going to be too much for the Monarchs to handle. And I think MTSU gets a big victory at home and sends the fans home happy as MTSU moves to bowl eligibility.
I think it's going to start off as a close game, but at the end, the Blue Raiders are going to take it away. If there's one thing that this team has showed us, it is that they can handle pressure. Once again, they're having a change in quarterback situation, a huge victory over FIU, a 50-point game. So I think that says all that I need to know. I think they finished strong on this one.
Check out Blue Raider Extra Point on Instagram and Twitter.
Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for today. Thank you all so much for watching Blue Raider Extra Point this entire season.
Make sure to check us out on Instagram and Twitter. We want to hear from you.
And if you missed this episode or any of our previous episodes, make sure you visit our website, middletennesseenews.net, or our YouTube page on MTN Sports. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next season right here on Blue Raider Extra Point. Where's my hat?
No. You can have this. I'm sorry. I will bring us some hot boys.
No, you can go for it.